Hello everyone and welcome back guys, finally to Season 5 of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're finally back with the first round of the season here from Albert Park, Australia. Obviously, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday, obviously where we did the pre-season announcement and obviously driver transfer news and everything like that, what on earth are you doing here? Go back and make sure you check out that video, of course, before we jump into this one. But yeah, Albert Park though today, Australia, the first round of, what there is a fair possibility will be the last season we do of F1 2020 My Team in its current form. It's not completely going away. Formula 1 content, of course, will not be disappearing. But if you do want to see more from this My Team Career Mode, leave a like, get yourself subscribed if you aren't already as well. We're trying to hit 15,000 subscribers on the channel at the moment as well there. And yeah, let me know down in the comments below if this is a series, obviously, that you still really do want to see on the channel. A big thanks to all the continued support over the Christmas break. But yeah, we're finally back with the big guns. It's time for My Team Season 5 here in Albert Park. Obviously, we haven't got a last race to go back and check out, but still, heading to Albert Park, there are a lot of questions looking to be answered this weekend. What are the likes of Guan Yu Zhou going to be able to do in his very first Formula 1 race, being chucked in right at the deep end with Ferrari? Max Verstappen, what's he going to be able to do in our car? How are Honda engines going to stack up as well? There is a lot that needs to be answered this weekend, so let's dive in then, ready for the Australian Grand Prix. I'll be honest, it's not often that obviously I include footage from free practice, but this is going to be our very first time driving the all-new Honda-powered Matt212 Motorsport car. So very excited for this weekend. It is quite weird, I'll be honest, not hearing that Renault power unit. It's obviously, I use it in the Mclaren career mode as well, so it's incredibly strange to listen to something else that isn't from that car. But yeah, I'm obviously a little bit rusty with this car this weekend. It's been a while since I drive the My Team cars on F1 2020. Obviously, we've been doing a fair bit of the Mclaren career mode. If you haven't checked that out, I would definitely recommend doing so, as well as obviously it's our Formula 2 career mode. I'm loving that. I know some of you guys are as well. So obviously, if you haven't missed out on that series, definitely go and check that one out as well. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I've noticed so far this lap, as you guys can probably tell, is actually getting on the brakes just a little bit too early. I forget just how late you can dare to step on the anchors in this car. Obviously, we're rocking a new paint scheme as well for the course of this season. Look at the snap, it just turns in. It's so different to the Mclaren that we tend to drive on F1 2020 in recent weeks. So yeah, it might take me, this first weekend at Albert Park to try and get back used to the car. But, the likes of Max Verstappen as well, he's never driven one of our cars as well. I'm sure it's going to be a very different experience to the Ferraris and Red Bulls that he's driven in the past. But at the final corner though, what is it going to be in our first lap of the season? It is only the green score, but that'll do. I mean, we've got plenty of R&D in the back pocket, but yeah, that'll do for now. Just jumping into a quick qualifying simulation run then, let's just see what this thing is still capable of after a winter away. Well, we might be a few tenths down at the end of our qualifying simulation run, but Australia, they tend to be a little bit OP on that sensor, but yeah, this thing is still fast. Well, there we go then, free practice done and dusted for the Australian Grand Prix. We did set the fastest time in the end, but only 74 thousandths ahead of George Russell there, who seems incredibly quick in his Mercedes car there. Pierre Gasly kicks off this season just like he finished last season, looking very quick there, and Stroll and Ocon right up towards the front as well there. Guan Yu Zhou in his first free practice up in 8th place. Verstappen struggling a bit more, down in 13th. Hamilton down in 12th. On the soft compounded tyres there, just ahead of the Williams of Antonio Giovinazzi, and then obviously a few of the other guys on hard tyres at the end of free practice there. But let's dive in then here, qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. Here we are then, qualifying day for the Australian Grand Prix, and if Q1 is anything to go by, things are looking very tight. I'm pretty certain about the top 13 were separated by a second at the end of Q1, but it was Verstappen who set the pace. No major surprises though, the Williams, the Alphas and the Haas all out in the first session there, but they weren't far off the pace, in all fairness to them. Hopefully, I want to see if we can try and get into Q3 on a set of medium compound tyres. You know, we always try it in these sessions for those of you guys that are new to this series, but I'm honestly not optimistic. But you think we're not going to be able to have any chance to use these tyres at any other point during the weekend, so we might as well give it a go. Heading down in towards the final few corners then of this first lap. You can see Esteban Ocon currently on a 1:18.0. We should hopefully just go a little bit quicker than that if we keep everything all hooked up nice and tidy through these final couple of turns, but we'll wait and see as to what's possible. Hamilton, new fastest in his Red Bull. At the final corner, though, what is it going to be? George Russell, a 17.4. That's a big improvement. We set only an 18.2. So between the Renaults at the moment, I doubt that's going to be good enough. So, as predicted, then we are going to have to go out towards the end of this session on a set of these soft compounded tyres here, but these tyres are meant to be about a second a lap faster than the mediums, and we only need about 4/10 if we want to sneak through into Q3 here. So hopefully, you know, we don't need to take any massive risks. We just need to try and get a good tidy lap in, and we should make it through into Q3. And as we head out of Sector 1, I think we've already found all the time we need, and hopefully this lap will only get better and better. It should be a good chance to get a reference point as to where we should be at the end of qualifying, but yeah, again, we don't want to take any risks. In towards the final couple of corners, Verstappen on a 16.4 goes fastest at the moment, but it looks like, yeah, that 0.9 second delta time that the team are estimating isn't going to be too far out. If anything, it was actually a little bit, well, yeah, not particularly optimistic there. We're going to be 1.3 up. We should just go on a sub 1:17 there, and it is a 16.9, which gets us through into Q3 nice and safely. Looking at that, though, Max Verstappen, half a second clear at the front of the field there. There was definitely a little bit more time for us to find on that lap, but yeah, Max looking on it in his first weekend with the new car there. Stroll up in third place. Seems Racing Point might have made a bit of a resurgence at the moment, ahead of Bottas. Danny Kvyat in 5th. Carlos Sainz in 6th as well. So Ferrari, Charles Leclerc for Ferrari up in 8th place as well, though. Yeah, it looks like Racing Point, AlphaTauri, McLaren and Ferrari all really seem to be trying to mix it with the big boys here at the moment. Both Racing Points into Q3, both McLarens into Q3 as well there. But Albon out in Q2, Guan Yu Zhou out in Q2 as well there. Not too surprising for the Ferrari man, only 4/10 of his very experienced teammate there. Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Hamilton down in 15th at the end of the session there. Not the start to his Red Bull campaign that he would have wanted. And Raikkonen a long way off the rest of the field. We're going to get 2 shots at this in Q3. Let's see if we can beat Max. Let's get ready then for our first lap in Q3. It seems like the 212 Motorsport cars are going to be capable of 76-second laps around this Albert Park circuit, which is crazy when you look back to like Season 1. We're going like 6-7 seconds a lap faster at the moment in this career mode. They're not quite, you know, there isn't a huge amount of time left to find in these machines still at the moment. It's all just a bit of a lock-up there. That's not helped this lap out all too much. But yeah, let's just see if we can try and beat our young Dutch teammate. There we go, Max Verstappen a 16.7 as he sets the pace in Q3. They're a long way ahead of Lance Stroll, who had just put in a lap before our teammate there. But in through the final couple of corners we go. Oh, clip the inside curb there. That was very, very close to the back end stepping out. But at the final turn, it is a 16.8, only a 10th off our teammate. So this is definitely going to be a good qualifying battle. And now into the dying stages of Q3, it appears that Mercedes have finally got rid of the sandbags. Bottas in 3rd, George Russell currently now in provisional pole on a 16.6 there. So yeah, Mercedes have absolutely finessed that. Certainly weren't expecting that at the end of Q2 here. But one final lap then here from Albert Park in qualifying trim. Are we going to be able to find a couple more tenths? Are we going to be able to put this car at the very least on the front row there? Take as much curb as we dare through the first couple of corners. Braking down in towards turn 3. We want to spot the black box and just about get on the anchors there. That was pretty tidy. We did a better run through there than we did last time round. A lot of curb on the exit, but we've just got a bit of oversteer. That's given us a little bit of front wing damage here. How much is that going to cost us on the rest of the lap? We've got to keep going. We can't afford to give up now, but this is going to be very, very difficult to try and find any more time in the car there, and that little slip up might just have cost us in this session there. Again, just get a little bit of wheel spin on the exit of the next couple of corners here. We're about a 10th down at the moment. If we don't get a good run through this high-speed chicane. I think the lap might be all but over there. Take a lot of curb. Yeah, I think this one, unfortunately, is not going to go our way at the end of qualifying. They're just not quite used to the torque curve of the Honda power unit. But in towards the final couple of corners, though, I think George Russell has done it. I think George Russell is on pole for the first race of the season. And all weekend, we were looking like the team to beat. But Mercedes, as they so often have done in the past, the sandbags have been released right at the end of qualifying. And they have certainly got a car on their hands this year.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Russell, Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So there we go. I said about how it was looking like we were going to be the only team to dip into the 116s there, but George Russell on pole on a 116.6 there. Verstappen in second on a 116.7. Just 11 thousandths ahead of Valtteri Bottas. It was so nearly a Mercedes front row lockout there. I finished P4 on a 16.8, but Charles Leclerc for Ferrari sneaked into the 16s as well there. Lance Stroll just missing out ahead of Kvyat, Perez, Norris and Carlos Sainz rounding out the top 10. So we spoke about obviously how Racing Point and McLaren wanted to be fighting further up the field. If Australia has anything to go by, those guys have got a fighting chance. Many questions still left to be answered though. Let's dive in, ready for the Australian Grand Prix.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at Albert Park, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996. And home to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Mr. Monaco, Leclerc, Lance Stroll, and Kvyat, Perez, Norris, Sainz, and Alexander Albon, Russell, Joe, Pierre Gasly, and Ocon, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Nicholas Latifi, and Nobuharu Matsushita. King, Giovinazzi, De Vries, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Did Mercedes not get the memo that it isn't the early 80s anymore and you can't run 14 engines a weekend to get your car on pole position there? That's some BMW style antics. How on earth has George Russell managed to pick up a 10-place grid penalty before the opening round of the season? I am, a little bit lost for words. I mean, from the team standpoint, it works out really well. We've got Verstappen now into prime position ready for the start here. We've only got to worry about one Mercedes, at least early on, in this Grand Prix. But we are ready then, here in Albert Park, the first race of the World Championship. Now, normally, I underfuel the car massively for these races. First race with a new power unit. We don't quite know how thirsty the Honda is going to be. So we're going to put 2 extra laps worth of fuel in. I'll be honest, I'm half expecting it to be decent and work for us. I'm half expecting to finish with about 6 laps of spare fuel in the car. But I'd rather finish with 6 laps of spare fuel than not finish at all with no fuel. So yeah, we'll wait and see as to how this goes. Strategy-wise, though, we're looking at a one-stop, looking to try. We might just see, can we do mediums to the checkered flag? We might just try that out later on, obviously see if it works for us as well there. But yeah, we're gonna see if we can do soft mediums in this Grand Prix. But The first race of the season, we need to get through turn 1 nice and cleanly. We got Max and Bottas just in front of us, Charles Leclerc right behind us as well there. It's a new beginning. Everyone is on a level order once more. Let's dive in. Round 1 of the season, waiting on those 5 red lights here from Albert Park. 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for Season 5 of the My Team Career Mode there, off to a fishtaily start. As we head down towards turn 1, it looks like Charles Leclerc and Stroll are both going to make contact there as they get into each other through the first corner. But what is up with the balance of the car there? As we try to put the power down, we're just going backwards off the start of this Grand Prix there. Don't really want to dive anyone. We get punted into from behind. It's all carnage, as I think Guan Yu Zhou got into the back of Perez there through the first couple of corners. We've got a VSC already in this race there. That was all a bit chaotic to start this one. Not too sure what that was all about in the early stages of this Australian Grand Prix there. But I think we've got away with it with no damage. Yes, we have. That's alright then. But yeah, all a little bit dramatic at the start there. But we've been allowed to tone it down again. And hopefully we'll get going very, very soon. There we go. Going green once more then, here from Albert Park as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of the first lap. It is Max Verstappen who... Oh no, it is, sorry, Valtteri Bottas who leads the way actually at the end of lap 1 there. Max Verstappen in P2, Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll in 3rd and 4th place here. So 4 different drivers from 4 different teams inside the top 4 at the end of lap 1 here. We're in 5th, just ahead of Carlos Sainz, who's trying to apply a lot of pressure there. We've got 3 cars into the pit lane, so it really was a dramatic start to this Grand Prix there, but we've got away with it, and hopefully we can try and have a look back past Stroll. Coming towards the end of lap 2, the team have already been... I was just about to say the team have been very, very vocal that we need to try and get past Stroll and Leclerc once more, but at the moment, these guys still looking tremendously fast as we head on to lap 3. Yeah, we are going to try and get around him as soon as possible, then hopefully we can help Max Verstappen get around Bottas. I know it's been said many, many times before, but that Racing Point is an absolute rocket ship down the straights here of Albert Park, and obviously this place has got a fair few of those straights as well, but yeah, he's obviously still in the DRS of Charles Leclerc, so this isn't the easiest thing to try and do, and obviously you don't want to make any big gamble and it all go a bit pear-shaped at the start of the season. I guess the only positive we can sort of bring from it is the fact that Charles Leclerc and Stroll aren't actually losing all that much to our teammate and Bottas at the front of the field here, so it really does seem, yeah, like the gap at the top has come down to the rest of the runners here, but yeah, we are definitely still got a bit of extra pace over Sir Lancelot, so hopefully we need to try and find a move sooner rather than later still, because I'm definitely losing a bit of time as we get a DRS failure. The start of the season, we've already had our first DRS failure. That is not going to make overtaking any easier, but we might try and send it up the inside of Lance Stroll. They're very, very aggressive with the move as we get a huge kick of oversteer on the exit of the corner, but we are now through, and hopefully we can apply some pressure to Leclerc. We've got yellow flags out. Who's got issues? Who is going to be the first man dropping to the wayside? It is going to be George Russell. So we always thought it was Hamilton that was jinked around this Grand Prix circuit, but no, George Russell this time round, the first man to fall to the wayside in this Grand Prix. We've got a safety car. We're going to pit now. We may as well take the gamble. We're going to go into mediums now, and maybe try and go into some softs towards the end of the Grand Prix there, but our teammate dives it in. We're going to have to do the opposite then. We need to stay out here. Verstappen into the pit lane then. It's all getting a little bit dramatic early on, but a couple more guys behind us into the pit lane as well. Well, it might still be Valtteri Bottas who leads the way, as the safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, but his Mercedes teammate has already fallen to the wayside at the start of this season, and I'm sure there's going to be questions back at the Mercedes factory in terms of the reliability of their cars there. Bottas, though, going to be leading us away ahead of Charles Leclerc, myself, Stroll, Kvyat, Sainz, and I think it's Lewis Hamilton, no, Albon, sorry, in P7 there. So 7 different cars from 7 different teams inside the top 7 here as we get ready to go green flag racing once again out of the final corner. Got to be very, very careful on the cold rubber there as we try to get a good run on Charles Leclerc there. It looks like we have got a big run on the Ferrari down in towards turn 1. He does go defensive on us. He's going to run himself deep into the corner as again we just don't quite have the bravery there. Look at Stroll coming back at us out of the first couple of corners there. Lance Stroll, a man on a mission at the start of the Grand Prix. He just cuts in front of me there, so he can't go for any sort of move in towards the next corner. That leaves us under pressure from Pierre Gasly behind as well there. But Stroll, out of nowhere, clearly wasn't happy with the move we pulled off on him. And he's very, very happy, on the other hand, to try and go back on the attack. That being said, though, I don't think the Canadian has still quite got the car that is capable of fighting with us as we head back down the inside in towards the final couple of corners again. Just kicking the back end out as we try to complete the move. Gasly's going to try and follow us past him as well there, so it's a mixed lap, I think it's going to say, for Lance Stroll. He does go still side by side, but I think Gasly, has finally pulled off that move and is now up into P4 of the Grand Prix as well there. But the start of this Australian Grand Prix, we're only on to lap 8, and there has already been plenty of action and carnage. Melbourne once again is delivering.
Some information on Mclaren. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Oh no, even more drama as we head on to lap 9. Charles Leclerc now apparently having issues in his Ferrari. Not too sure what that is going to entail. Whether he's going to be slow down the straights, maybe a bit slower through the corners. Ooh, steady on. Don't want to bin it by ourselves. Do a bit of rallycross at 140 miles an hour on the exit of the first couple of corners here. But yes, Charles Leclerc, though, with issues in his Ferrari, doesn't mean we're going to be able to sneak past him. And over to P2 of the Grand Prix there. Reliability always such a big asking point at the Australian Grand Prix. And yeah, look at that, Charles Leclerc, very, very slow as we head down in towards the chicane there. We haven't got a huge overspeed, but it certainly isn't normally a place where you can make overtakes work. And Charles Leclerc under pressure from Pierre Gasly as well there, as Gasly gets all kind of squirrely down in towards the final sector of the lap. But look at that, the AlphaTauri driver up into P3 of the Australian Grand Prix there. What a start to the season that would be for him. As the end of lap 9 as well, Valtteri Bottas into the pits. So we are now out of nowhere going to inherit the lead of this Australian Grand Prix there. Gasly just behind us there as Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll into the pit lane. Now we've got a chance of some clear air to hopefully stretch the legs of this car. So currently then in this Grand Prix, it's a Honda Power 1, 2, 3, 4 for myself, Gasly, Albon and Hamilton there. No idea how Raikkonen has already picked himself up a 5-second penalty as well in this race, but it hasn't stopped delivering just yet as we're only a third of the way through. End of lap 10, Gasly into the pit lane as he is looking incredibly quick at the start of the season. He's really trying to build on the highs of the end of last year there. Both Red Bulls stay out though for another lap. Obviously they weren't inside the top 10, so they did get a fresh set of rubber for the start of this Grand Prix, but we need to try and take these tyres at least one more lap here around Albert Park, but they're already definitely starting to go off. Carlos Sainz now out of nowhere at the Grand Prix as well, so that's an unfortunate retirement for McLaren in the opening race of the season. He joins George Russell on the sidelines. Coming towards the end of lap 12 though, these tyres have hung in there fairly well towards the end of this stint. They certainly don't feel as good as they did at the start of the Grand Prix, as the warning light just comes on for them, but you can see just behind us, oh, that's not where we want to be. Our teammate Max Verstappen only 6 seconds back, and Jordan King now into the top 5 as we get a little bit squirrely through the final corner, down into the pit lane, brake nice and tidily on the way in, and we're going to be coming in for our first pit stop of the day then. Albon follows us in, Max Verstappen is going to re-inherit the lead of this Grand Prix there. Ocon now up into P2 as well there, as it looks like, yeah, I think most of the guys that were still on these soft tyres are coming in. 2.7 second stop isn't particularly brilliant, as Albon and Magnussen just fly past us. No, Kvyat, sorry, even I should say, as we're going to come out really close to Valtteri Bottas, but he just about stays in front. Important thing to note though is the fact that Bottas has gone onto a set of the hard compound tyres there. The same can be said for Gasly just behind us in this Grand Prix, so we need to try and get past Bottas as soon as possible. Use the softer tyres to our advantage here as we head down the back straightaway. We've definitely got a little bit more top end than the Mercedes man. We tried to stick close through the fast chicane, take a whole lot of curb on the way through there, and we are slowly gaining in as we try and get close there. Max Verstappen into the pits for the second time in this Grand Prix, so I think he's basically just going to try and follow the strategy home now. Maybe on a set of mediums, maybe on a set of hards there as well. Bottas leaves a bit of an open invitation. No, he doesn't. Bottas completely cuts across us in towards the final couple of corners, and we were still there And what on earth is Bottas trying to achieve? In that moment there, just completely comes across us. There's even more contact as we head down the straightaway here, down in towards turn 1 though. We are now up into the lead of the Grand Prix, but what was that? From Valtteri Bottas there, a complete miscommunication, but we've still... Oh, we should now be in the net lead of the Grand Prix. There are a big lock-up as we head in towards the next couple of corners though, but Gasly now looking in prime position in this race there as Bottas turned across me, I felt like, sort of slammed the door shut when we were quite clearly there, and then just turned in through the final corner. Magnussen into the pit lane as well then at the end of lap 14, so he's done a fantastic job on those soft compounded tyres here, but the damage doesn't feel too bad at this stage of the race there as Danny Kvyat now leads the way in his AlphaTauri. There we go, Kvyat the last man into the pit lane as we cross over the halfway stage here in Albert Park, lap 16. But Bottas, yeah, still trying to hound us at the moment. The car definitely doesn't feel as quick as it obviously once was, due to the huge chunk of front wing. Part of it buried, I would have thought, in the side pod of the Mercedes, but I'm not going to make this any easier for him. I think Bottas might now have got an issue in this Grand Prix. Suddenly, Max Verstappen, he's moved past Gasly at the start of this lap, and now it looks like our teammate Max Verstappen has inherited P2 of this Australian Grand Prix there from Valtteri Bottas. So both Mercedes with issues at the start of the season there as we head through the final couple of corners. It's given us a couple of seconds of safety, but to the Mercedes man is, yes, Bottas into the pit lane at the end of lap 17 there. So a heartbreaking start to the year for Mercedes. They might have got rid of the sandbags in qualifying, but I don't know if there's some sand in the engine that's causing them these issues or what. But Bottas into the pits once more here in Albert Park, and he's going to be way down the order outside of the top 10. 10 laps to go then here from Albert Park, and the question very quickly becomes, what do we do if Max Verstappen starts applying a bit more pressure to us? He has been the quicker man all weekend so far, and I don't really think we can try and make an enemy out of our teammate in the very first race of the World Championship here. Is he going to pit again as well? That's another question I've sort of got on my mind. We're trying to go to the end, but if the AI aren't as great on their tyres, we might see Max Verstappen in on a 3-stop strategy here at Albert Park. I think, yeah, if he does find a move on us, there's not going to be much we should probably do to defend it, as mistakes like that let Max all over the back of us as we head around the back half of the circuit here. I don't think he's quite got a run just yet, but heading out through the next couple of turns. Very, very close to the outside wall, and yeah, look at that from Verstappen. Looking incredibly quick down the back straightaway. We're not going to bother. No, no, Max does the same thing at the same time. So it looks like we are going to accidentally bother defending that from him, as now he gets a huge slingshot down in towards the final sector of the lap, and we're just going to slot back in, play the team role today. Heading on towards lap 22 then, after such a crazy first half of this Grand Prix, things have calmed down just a little bit in the second half, but Verstappen has just romped away over the last few laps here. I do want to hold off, obviously, Pierre Gasly and Albon just behind us, if it's going to be possible to do so towards the end here. But yeah, I think unless Max does need to pit again, unless he has shredded a bit too much from his tyres, he's looking good for the second time in his Formula 1 career to win his first race ever with a team. Lap 23, Gasly, as you can just see in the rearview mirror, really starting to apply a whole lot of pressure to us in the dying stages of this Australian Grand Prix there. That AlphaTauri is looking like an absolute weapon towards the end of this race there. And like we saw at the end of last season, Gasly seemingly able to extract absolutely everything out of that car as well. So maybe, just maybe, Red Bull and AlphaTauri are back here ready to fight at the front of the field for good. But that being said, we are already 23 laps into the new Formula 1 season. Verstappen, yeah, just clear away at the front of the field there. He's in a different league this weekend, but it has gone a bit decidedly lucky for us. George Russell and Bottas both running into mechanical issues over the course of this Grand Prix. But yeah, we still need to try and bring home the second part of that one too, as soon as I say that, we just run a bit wide. Gasly slots up the inside in towards the final few corners of the lap there, and the AlphaTauri, that might be incredibly difficult to get back around. Coming to the end of lap 24 then, 5 to go here from Albert Park, and I don't think it's going to be possible to get back around that AlphaTauri. He's quick enough down the straight. Obviously he's got the full use of his front wing through the corners as well there, and that car is just simply not that slow at the moment. It is truly a front-runner, that AlphaTauri in the hands of Pierre Gasly. We're now just focusing on our mirrors once again with Alex Albon just behind us. We cannot fall off the podium, surely. Surely we need a podium here. Just over 2 laps to go then here from Albert Park, and Alex Albon, sorry, is still just trying to find any opportunity he can to sneak past us here. Like I said, Pierre Gasly's romped away at the road as well, so there's certainly no way we were going to be able to get back around the AlphaTauri, but it's looking like Honda Power is powering all 4 cars inside the top 4 at the moment for 3 different teams as well. All of us seem to have delivered this weekend, and what a move it appears to have been over to these new powertrains. Round in the final corner then to start the last lap here of the Australian Grand Prix, and Albon, he has got a bit of a run on us. We are going to have to go a bit defensive on him, but Albon even gets further to the inside in towards turn 1 there. The Red Bull man just a bit too deep though on the brakes, and we do hold on for now there. That was a do or die situation between myself and Albon. You've got to give him credit for giving it a go on the final lap here of Albert Park, and certainly that doesn't mean it's over just yet as we head through the first sector of the lap though. But the start of this season has certainly delivered up to the hype. There was so much speculation, so many questions as we head into season 5 of this career mode. What could Verstappen do in some properly capable machinery? What were we going to be able to do with our new Honda power units? Could Gasly maintain the momentum he's brought from the end of last season? What are Mercedes going to be able to do to challenge for race victories once again here? What was Guan Yu Zhou going to be able to do in his Ferrari seat, chucked in at the deep end here? Hamilton and Red Bull, there were so many storylines. This is not over just yet. As soon as I'm saying that, Albon tries to have a look to the outside, in towards the final few corners of this Australian Grand Prix. He just doesn't quite have enough to hold on there, but Verstappen comes through to win his very first race for 212 Motorsport. All these questions, but we still remain on top when all is said and done here from Albert Park. It's very much been a weekend that's fallen into our play though. Gasly comes home P2 and we just sneak a podium.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
So after a day of mixed fortunes up and down the field, we bring today's race to a close. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One. So let's review the updated drivers' standings. Max Verstappen now leads the Drivers' Championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I'll probably go for Pierre Gasly. The team did a good job with the strategy to put him in amongst the pack, but it's the driver's job to capitalise on those opportunities, and he did so with a lot of skill.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
Well, there we are then, guys. The end of the Australian Grand Prix, and if you talk about storylines, I don't think you could have squeezed any more in to that 29-lap thriller from Albert Park there. Max Verstappen on the 2-stop strategy made it work in the end and comes through for the race victory in the full 25 points when all is said and done there. Pierre Gasly 13th to 2nd at the end of the day. A fantastic job for the AlphaTauri man in the car that has always looked good in race trim there, and I'm sure, yeah, he is heading to Bahrain next time out with a whole lot of confidence behind him as well there. P3 to P3 in the end for ourselves. Probably doesn't quite paint the full picture. Had we not got into that scrap with Bottas, I definitely feel like we could have had the pace to win that one today. But we still got a podium, we still got a trophy back at the factory there, so very, very happy with that. Albon in P4 there, probably a little bit gutted just to miss out in the end, but he certainly gave it a good go at the end of the Grand Prix as well. They're ahead of Lando Norris in 5th, Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton very, very disappointed, I think, with 7th place there and being thoroughly beaten by his teammate Albon as well there. Stroll, I'm sure, as well, a bit gutted to fall back towards the end after being so quick at the start of the Grand Prix, with Danny Kvyat in 9th and Charles Leclerc running at the top 10 there for Ferrari. Kimi Raikkonen just missing out ahead of Sergio Perez, so racing points, race pace seems to be struggling a little bit more than their qualifying pace would suggest there. Bottas down in 13th in the end. A very, very disappointing weekend for Mercedes there. Latifi, though, I was watching him on the minimap about halfway through that Grand Prix, and he actually spent a fair chunk of time inside the top 10. They're unfortunately down in 14th place at the end of the Grand Prix. They were a long way clear of the rest of the backmarker cars there. Guan Yu Zhou in 15th, a disappointing start of the season, but there is a long road ahead of him and Ferrari there as well. Matsushita in 16th place there ahead of King and the other Alfa Romeo. Nick de Vries, Magnussen and Antonio Giovinazzi rounding out the finishers there, with just Carlos Sainz and George Russell both not making it to the checkered flag at the end of the weekend there. That means, though, in terms of the championship, obviously the drivers the same as the race results there. The constructors, we're on 40 points there, double the points of AlphaTauri, who sit in P2 there. Red Bull in 3rd, McLaren in 4th place as well. They're ahead of Renault, Racing Point and Ferrari there, with Mercedes, along with the 3 backmarker teams, obviously not scoring points at the end of this first weekend of the championship there. But if you guys have enjoyed, do make sure, like I said at the beginning, you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. It's something mad, like 60% of you that watch these videos aren't already subscribed to the channel. So yeah, make sure you do that as well, obviously, if you're new around here. We're trying to hit 15k subs at the moment, so if you could get one step closer to that, it would be greatly appreciated. But surely you guys will want to be back here ready for round 2 of the season from Bahrain. So tomorrow we're going to be doing the McLaren RTG from Canada. Then on Thursday we're obviously going to be doing this career mode once again here with Bahrain. So yeah, you guys make sure you get yourself subscribed. Be here very soon for more racing videos. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow with more Formula 1 content. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.